I nearly started talking then, and then I realised it wasn't recording. That would have been good, wouldn't it? Always check. Hello and welcome to 2024, unless you watch me Twixmases, to the No Excuses podcast. My name's Anne. I live in Worcestershire with my husband, who you may hear moving about the house. Nothing sinister in the background. I notice that when I'm editing, sometimes I can hear him go for room or cough or whatever, or laugh. Today is episode 72 and it's Thursday the 11th of January. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I think, so I've got my lights on. If they reflect in the in my glasses, I'm sorry. I'll try and keep my head perfectly still. I've no guarantee they still won't reflect, but this is purely an amateur production. Now, as I just mentioned, I did 3 Twixmases where I was opening my advents. Now, I think most of you watched those, but if you didn't, I'm going to go through everything I've had from Christmas Day, from Christmas Day onwards, what I had for Christmas briefly. If you want more detail, you can go and have a look at the Twixmases, but I don't want to repeat everything again and again and again, so I'll just go over them briefly, and if you've got any questions, you know where I am. Everything, just to mention the admin, Mum said she likes to skip this bit, but it's so important, Mother, so important. All the places you can find me are down below. So there's Ravelry, Instagram and my email address. And we have 2 make-alongs running at the moment. The Jump Along, which is an annual thing that runs from about September to the end of March. Any adult sweater, unless it's it's got arms in, unless it, or cardigan, can do whatever. And if it's a vest that's designed to go and sit outside the body rather than something like a bralette or a cami to sit under. And that you can enter on Ravelry, email, or you can put the hashtag on Instagram that I should be showing you at around about while I talk about it. And then there's a craft more in 24, and that will end at the end of October. Now, I appreciate that that isn't going to be for everybody, that not everybody's going to try a new craft, but it's there as the annual craft along for this channel this year. As soon as the end of March comes, I have plans for another mal that will overlap with it, which will be probably be more akin to what you're used to with make-alongs. But I did try to think of another one, and I thought no, because there are so many good make-alongs going around at the moment that I didn't think I needed another one until the end of the Jump Along. It's the JAL, not Jump Out Long. So anyway, hashtags are on the screen. Now I don't very often join in with mals, mainly because I forget that they exist. But I am going to join in with 3 this year of people that I watch anyway, and if you're somebody that I watch and you're aware of that, then and you've got a mal going, please let me know and I can join in. I mean, apart from the 12 cast-ons, which is, I talk about regularly. So the first one I'm going to enter me in, these are in no particular order, is Carol of Swatch This Space. Carol's in Canada, and Carol has a Colour Me Beautiful mal going on for 2024. And that's any colour work. You can go and check her channel to see exactly what qualifies. And I'm going to be entering one of my 12 cast-ons into that because it's colour work. Then the other one is Lesley of Not Quite Enough Yarn over on Ravelry, and again I think you can email your entries to Lesley for the modification mal, and I will enter that if the same one I'm doing the colour work on, I might have to modify that. And also another one of my 12 cast-ons, I might be doing a sleeve modification. So if and when I do those, then I will be entering them into Lesley's Make Along. And then finally, Sue and Liz have got the Distant Stitches podcast, and they're doing the Shop the Stash Mal 2024. That's got an Instagram hashtag, and I presume it's similar to my Smash the Stash last year. Again, go and check their channel out to see what qualifies if you're interested in following or joining in with that. Bearing in mind that many of you might not have much of a stash. Oh, I bet you do, really. I hide it away in denial. I may say, right, quite now, up front, it is the 11th of the month and I have not bought any yarn or fabric. I have bought some needles and they're on their way, so I'll show you them when they come next time. So those are the mails and where you can contact me. So now we're going to go on to incoming. I had mentioned several times during December that I had received a lovely advent in the post from a potty friend, and on Christmas Day, amongst all the lovely advent stuff she gave me, was this from Attic Spin Dye. Again, I've shown you this on Twixmas, but I'm just going to briefly show you. This is called Chatsworth Chintz, and it's a 75/25 merino nylon Attic Spin Dye, and it's gorgeous. It's pinks and creams and browns, and I love it. I just love those tones. Bit of speckly, bit of tonal. It ticks all the right boxes. I will show you some other wool that came out to the advent in a little while, because it's in a completed object. But the other thing that I've crammed into this bag, I'm running out of project bags, I need to make some project bags, is I bought, very, very indulgently, I bought a box from the Knitting Shed that they do some beautiful, beautiful colours, and I saved it till Christmas. I told Tommy, bought it me. So this is the merino and silk from the Knitting Shed, and you get, it says 60 grams, but I think they're 50. I haven't weighed them. This beautiful sort of toffee caramel colour in merino silk, and you can feel it's very fluffy, and then this beautiful toning sort of cream with hints of that colour in it, and then this beautiful red. I mean, you know, it's got a wintry feel about it, and that would make it absolutely beautiful. I'm thinking colourwork cowl, something similar to the Hoagie Locatelli's cashmere cowl, where you've got like different colours and different patterns in. It's called Toadstool, and you can see why. It's very reminiscent of the Flyer Garrick colours, isn't it? You know, that red spotted one, the one we always think of as a toadstool. Yeah, it says 2 times 60 grams. I don't think that's right, because the 4-ply is 400 metres per 100 grams, and it says there's 200 metres in, so I think that's just a typo. Hand wash only, the Knitting Shed. So that was the yarn that came with it, and then there were various packages in that I've tried to consolidate. So in here, beautiful box with some stickers on, and luckily I'm doing it up. You get a glue stick and some beautiful papers, to make a paper chain, and I'd say they were wintry more than Christmassy. It is called the winter box. And then this little packet that says stuffing isn't sage and onion, it's this beautiful felt kit to make toadstools. So in here you've got your pattern and your felt, and you make it up. It's called Fabulous Felt Fungi. Gorgeous, and I shall be doing that fairly soon, hopefully. Not like, should do it during winter, shouldn't I? Winter's only just begun, because it started on the solstice officially, isn't it? It's not even a month yet. So that was all from the knitting shed, and that was lovely. And they also included 2 chocolate spoons, you know, the ones you put into hot milk. And I'm really not keen on white chocolate. I had the one the other day that was like, looked like it was half white chocolate, half milk. But actually it was really, really nice. It wasn't as sweet as I was expecting. So that's my gift from the knitting shed, and it's given me things to do. So I'll be back in a sec. Next up is my needle and thread advent calendar. And again, I'll show you in a bit more detail on Twixmas, but I'm just going to show you the colours now from the, this is the BFL 4-ply. And some of them I've linked together, not very well, but you can see it started out with blue and went through to green, and then it went from green through to yellow, and these are all colours that Libby had on her wall. Most of them Wonderwall. I think she said she was going to add a couple more to that, so that you got, and then you've got some, sorry about this, you've got some oranges and rusts here, and then I took these apart because I wasn't able to, the camera wasn't at the right angle. A couple of more rusty chestnutty colours, and then moving towards pink, some more pinks towards purpley lilac-y colours, and then finally almost a grey on this side. So all in all, I'm very, very pleased with the calendar from, where have my words gone? Not done much talking today. Tom's just got back from Morrison's. Yeah, very pleased with it. I'll give a review in Twixmas number 3 of my 2 advents. So if you want to hear more about what I thought of them, then go and have a look. And now I'm really going to get lost, because this is the Camel's yarn, and it's non-superwash merino, and I'm not sure where it started now. I'll have to go back and have a look at my photos, but I think it might have started, it's called From Moorland to Sea, and it goes through woodland and the coast as well. So started out with the green, moving through to a pinky green, and then in no particular order, I think this might have been next, or this might have been first actually, come to think of it. I'm not sure, I'm really sorry. I know that on their Instagram feed, I think she's put them out, but I'd stopped following her because she was showing it every day and I didn't want to see it. So I will go and follow her again soon. Beautiful colours. The non-superwash merino feels very, very soft. It's nice and squidgy when it's in the mini skein. And then she went to a woodland area, which I think are sort of these dark bluey greens, although these could be equally the sea. I think it doesn't matter, does it, what they're called? And it doesn't matter what order I used them in, because it's down to me really. I've got those all tied together for some reason. I was trying to keep them in order, but they kept breaking up because I wasn't making a very good job of tying them up together. So those are the last 3 of the greeny blues to show you. And as you know, I'm not very good at holding stuff up. And then I seem to have got these 2 left over. And I know they go in the middle somewhere. And then Christmas Day was this one called From Moorland to Sea, and it's got most of the colours in that are included in the minis. I will say that this it's a better version of a fade, if that's what you want. I think it's going to make a superb huge shawl, mini blanket, because there's like 580 grams here, or more likely a cardigan, a jumper, sorry, for me, because I just love the colours. You know, it's been very, very carefully curated, very, the difference between the skeins on any 2 days, you know, some days it's very, very minimal. So, yeah, very nice. Again, I'll go into more detail. There were a couple of extras with that one, whereas there wasn't any extras with the needle and thread, which I knew about, and there was obviously a difference in price. Yeah, but overall I'm happy with both of them. I'll go and pack this away and I shall come back in a minute. So those were my teeth are playing up again. They are all my own teeth. You wouldn't know it from the way they behave. So those are my incoming. The knitting shed box and the 2 advents. I don't know what I'm going to use the advents for yet. Really, if I have any next year, this end of this year, I should only have 1 and not 2. They're getting quite expensive, some of them. But it's not just about the expense for me. It's about the fact that, you know, some of mine have sat there for a couple of years and I've not used them, and I think that's a bit different from when you add things to stash because you bought a jumper quantity. You know, anyway, some of them have gone into blankets. It does make quite an expensive blanket. It's not about the money. 12 cast-ons. Next, I'm in the, well, I'm not even in the middle yet. I've probably got a third way in, and I'm about to cast something else on, but I need your assistance. So, first of all, in order of, as part of the advent, I had these 2 beautiful colours from Stranded Dye. Doesn't say Stranded Dye Works, just says Stranded, and I made the winter crown hat. I've put it on Instagram. Most of you have seen it already. I started it on Christmas Eve and I finished it on Boxing Day night, and it's called the winter crown. I haven't blocked it because of the star there, and then you've got beautiful star patterning colour work on the hat itself. So this is the winter crown by Emily Bjorna. It's on Ravelry, and again I did mention that it doesn't really give finishing instructions, so I made up my own and I'm quite happy with it. So I just did some decreases just to confuse you. I'm right on the edge because I think she got over 24 stitches, I think, on the end, and I'm like, I'm not leaving 24 stitches. There'll be a hole in the top, and it's not the sort of hat you want to put a pom-pom in because the crown is actually a feature, and with me being sat down in a wheelchair, people can see the top of my head. So, you know, sometimes you put that on a tall person, you wouldn't see it really, would you, unless they were sat in a cafe. So yeah, that's the winter crown. That's my first cast on and cast off. Go me. Number 2, I think. I don't remember which order I did these in. This is, I think this was my second cast on. This is the Playdate cardigan by Tin Can Knits, and I'm just going to show you my progress if I can get the little ball off the needle. This is a 4-ply. It's a tonal. It's by Midwinter Yarns. It's there, black and blue, Blueface Leicester, and I bought this as part of a Kickstarter. I got 6 skeins of it and I paid in January last year, and I had the wool probably late November. So what I've done, because I don't like stocking stitch, it bores me to tears, I have done some colour work at the bottom, and the colours are Eternal Dalek and Faded Sea. Now the colours, as I've said before, and I might have said it on my last podcast, I'm not sure, they're a bit brighter than I was expecting, but I think they will sit well on me, and I'm looking forward to making it because it's going to go with the blouse that I'm going to make. Now again, because it would have been just stocking stitch, I have incorporated, and you probably can't see it, tiny little cable every 6 rows here, and then under the arm as well, just to mark like a faux seam really a bit. So yes, so I'm knitting on this at night, which means sometimes it gets no work, sometimes it gets half a row done on it before I start falling asleep with it in my hands. But the other night I managed about 7 rows, and I was quite pleased with myself. I've done a bit of a corrugated style rib at the bottom. I did 4, 4 and 4, and then I started the stocking stitch. 4 of the yellow, 4 of both, and then 4 of the faded sea colour. And now I'm on the slog up to the armholes. Now the thing about this, the reason why I might add this into the modification cowl is because of Lesley's, of not quite enough yarn, is because it's got dropped shoulders on, and I mean this has been made by thousands of people, but I come along and think I don't like that drop shoulder on me, not on a fitted cardigan. So I'm going to see when I get there. And then I've got the Melissa Leapman book about 6,000 jumpers that I mentioned. I'm sure I mentioned it last time. I'm gonna say, or you know, the trouble with doing a Twixmas is I forget what I've done. I'm bad enough as it is, because I didn't write notes for them. Oh well, you don't expect anything else of me, so I'm gonna see if I can do a setting sleeve rather than a drop shoulder. But I'm enjoying doing this, and do you know, I mean, it's non-superwash and it's gorgeous. It just feels really nice to knit with. I am using a 3.5mm needle, and I refuse to go down any further because I don't get gauge. I'm a loose knitter, so I have to do a different size and watch my knitting rather than go down to the needle size to get gauge, because I'd be there all day and I'd probably run out of wool as well. I'm not knitting something like that on a 3mm. I don't think I'd get the softness and the drape that you get with the 3.5. I think it's supposed to be a 3.25. So I don't know. So that's number 2. I'm going to get number 3. So number 3 is the Lantern Shawl by Sylvia McFadden, and this is how far I've got. What I tend to do with the trial cast ons, what I'm doing this year anyway, is that I'm doing it for a few days until I'm ready to cast the next thing on, because I've got to the end of January and I won't make 12. I might make 9 or 10 this year. I don't think I'm going to get up to 12. I took advantage of Tom getting a couple of bags of yarn down from the loft when he put the decks back up. So this is like a motif. It's a triangular shawl, and you get a motif, and I'm just putting a bead at the tip of each motif, of which there'll be several hundred. I'm really happy with this. It's a fairly easy pattern to do, and I will do a video about how I apply a crochet hook and a bead with a crochet hook. There's my crochet hook, but I'm not undoing it to show you it's tiny. You won't get any sense of proportion, I don't think, on the screen, but I have to keep washi tape to stop the cover because it's such a small hook. It needs protecting. It comes with its own protector, and yeah, I can put washi tape around it to stop it from pinging off, otherwise you lose it very easily. The wool is Rose by Tanya of Woolly Tangle, and it is a gorgeous, it looks peach on my photographs, but it is pink in real life, and it's merino silk. It does twist, untwist and split a bit, behaves a bit like a single, but I can deal with that. And these are being knitted on, let's see, oh look, it's 3.5. And this is why I've had to order new needles. Well, I could have ordered new tips, but I thought, So that's my lantern shawl. on to the next. Now my next cast on was going to be the Ashmore by Lesley of Unwind Knitwear, but her gauge is 30 stitches on 3.25 or 3.5, and that just made me think I'm not going to get anywhere near it. So I'll look at the Ashmore because I do want to make it another time, but because I want to keep going with my cast-ons, I chose instead something I've been looking at for a while. I've owned the pattern for a couple of years at least, and that is Sound Waves by Faye Kennington, and this is as far as I've got. I've gone for a very low contrast. Sorry, it's on the needles, and because it's on the needles, I'll see if I can hold it so it's, you can see the colours maybe, I don't know. Like I've gone for a very low contrast on it. So basically you've got zigzag colour work around the yoke, and the wool I'm using, this is the equivalent to the black on the pattern, and this is the main skein from the Needle and Thread merino silk and yak advent that I had last year. So it's quite tonal, and sometimes you can't tell the stitches from the main colour, which is pink, pale pink on the original pattern, which is a bare merino silk and yak. Now I've got a couple of these from Yarnworthy, and because I'm going to do the Ashmore I needed 5 skeins for my size, so I ordered an extra 2 because I've got 3 already, and no wonder it was going to be 5 skeins. Yeah, anyway, and so I'm using this as the MC, and I haven't had to get the other ones out of the loft because this is a shorter, and it's got short sleeves, but I know I can lengthen the sleeves if I need to, if I want to, because I've got more of this. So you've got the neckline, and then you've got short rows, and then you get into the colour work pattern. And even squinting I can't really see that colour work pattern. If you look at the pattern, I can't see the colour work on here, and I've just completed where is it? This one. And they're all quite tonal. So if you look at, I was getting confused sometimes because sometimes that colour is in here where you get to undyed bits. So when I'm trying to count, so I've made not mistakes, but I've had to go back again and redo some bits on it, but it's worth it in the end, isn't it? So that was my first contrast colour. That's my second. You see, they contrast quite nicely apart from one another when they're not close to one another. The pattern has the same contrast colour in the 3 bands of colour work on the yoke anyway, and my third colour is even darker, is this purple, and I'm going to stick to those. So these are all from last year's merino yak and silk advent as well, so they all the same content, and I'm pleased with that. I'm very pleased, and this will go into the colour. Just dropped a stitch there, should probably put stick buckles on. So I'm not taking anything off the needles. So I worked for about 5 days on it because I kept going wrong, but I've only got one more increased band to do, and then one more colour work to do on the top of the yoke before I just start going round, splitting for the sleeves and going round and round and round. So that's Sound Waves. And that is all I've cast on so far for the 12 cast-ons. Let me just do this very obviously Wool Warehouse bag. Shove it in quickly. I've realised that I've lost my thingy there, my end of round stitch marker, so I'm just going to put that back in. I stopped a stitch from the end so it didn't fall off on purpose. There we go. I find the only difficulty with the trial cast-ons is, well, 2 for me, 3 for me, deciding what I'm going to do. When I've cast something on is leaving it alone so I can cast something else on. And then thirdly is having all these things on the needles at any one go usually drives me mad. But I've enjoyed it for the last 2 years, so I was looking forward to doing it again this year. I was going to do the Zweig, and I was looking at the pattern, and I haven't started that yet. I'm thinking about it, but when I do it, I'm going to do it in those colours. This is Florence by Biff Sugar, and this is Light Stone by Quack Yarn, and they go quite well together. I specifically bought, just before Christmas, 2 skeins of that to go into the Zweig, because the yoke section is a textured stitch pattern rather than colour work, and it wouldn't show up with that. So I bought that so it would show up. I'd like to do it. I may well still do that as a cast on. But I also want to do, and I'm going to show you the thing that I was thinking of, that I can't make a decision on, back in a minute. I just tipped the camera up, so I'm not sure if it's going to be, I'm in the same place now. My chair caught the wire, because I've got it plugged in because the batteries are so rubbish. One of the next cast-ons I want to do is the Baseline Cardigan by So Soon It's Suzanne Summer. And these are the cotton wool colours that I bought in the summer when I was let loose in Worcester on my own, from Habby, House of Habby. Now, they are lovely colours, and I do think they go well together. I'll put a picture of the Baseline Cardigan up. And my initial idea was to do stripes up one side and then colour block the other, because you can just, play about with it as much as you like. And it's knit sidewards, which will mess with my head a little bit, but I'm thinking that this one is called Mushy, like a mushroom colour, and I like the idea of that being perhaps the rib. I've got 2 each of these, so that's 800 grams. No, it's not, it's 400 grams. Sausages on toast. I have got, I've got 8 balls. I've got 400 grams altogether. I may not have enough wool. I might have to reassess what I'm going to do with this, or see if I can order some more online. I did say to myself that I could order wool if it's to finish a project, so let's see how we get on. And I'm thinking that I don't want 2 strong colours together, but I quite like the idea of those 2 together in a stripe, that way, or those 2. You see, if I put them 2 together, then that's a lot paler. Although I think the clash of those goes really well. But then I don't want 2 pinks together, which would be if I put those together, which is nice as well. So I'm not sure what to do. I wish I'd bought more of it now. That's annoying me. You see, this is what happens. You start talking about it and you realise that maybe things aren't what they seem, or they're not going to turn into what you thought they might. So anyway, I've got 2 of each of them. I'm going to go and have a look at what the cardigan calls for in terms of amounts, because it is a double knitting. If it's done on quite a loose gauge, then I might have enough wool, but this is very, very softly spun, and that might be a disaster for me and pilling. So we may reassess that. Any thoughts? Any thoughts on colours if I do go ahead? I'm also going to make a tea room bear, which I've put a photograph of a few times now, but I've got the yarn down from the loft and I'm ready to go on that. And then the last thing that I've made a note of, I want to do some leg warmers. Actually, they'd be nice as leg warmers. I want to do some leg warmers as well that I could just put on my legs, because I'm getting cold and I can't always cope with wearing trousers because the physical effort of coping with the trousers. Anyway, so I've added leg warmers to my cast on list, but I can make my own out of a tube. I knitted them in the 80s, I can do it again. And then finally, the last one I've got listed, which takes me up to number 8, is the Eyelet Burst Shawl by Stephen West. And this calls for 4 colours, and I'm going to get into trouble here because I have got these that go brilliant together, I think. And this is by My Mama Knits, and I don't know whether Sunshine still does these colours. They're all 75-25, and this is green as glass. And obviously, because I like green, it is a beautiful colour, and it was one that's definitely not going into destash, you see. And then this is a single batch, and look at how well that goes with that, right? And it brings the green in, bit of blue and purple, right? Number 2. And then Satyr, look at that. I mean, you know, that is gorgeous. That a lot more, well, they're all tonal, but these 3 together are gorgeous, except the shawl is a 4 colour shawl, and the other one I was going to use, but I've realised I don't think it'll go, is this, which is Oil Slick by Banshee Yarns. But it's got yellow in it, and there isn't a yellow anywhere in here at all, so I'm not sure it's going to fit with the other colours, so I'm a bit nonplussed about that. So, you know, Oil Slick is dark, and I thought about putting it right at the end, but then that's going from purple back to green again, and I'm not sure that's going to work really. But then it's a shawl, so does it matter as long as it looks nice overall? Yeah, I might have to go back to the drawing board on this one, because I don't think I've got a 4th colour to go with that. I've got I've got a green that I could possibly put in between those 2, but it would make, because it's almost a semi-solid, it would ruin the overall look, I think, because these are far more, not speckly, but variegated. So, am I taking this all too seriously? But I've kept these. I mean, it may be that I don't do the Eyelet Burst, that instead I'll do a 3 colour shawl, and goodness knows I've got enough patterns of them. So yeah, so plans may change there, because now I've got them out in the open. As much as I love this, I don't dislike it at all. It doesn't really sit well with the other 3. Okay, I'm going to put these away, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what I've been doing. And yeah, cinnamon again. Yes, I'm just thinking I have got another green somewhere that might go, and I think it is still a Sunshine colour from My Mama Knit, so I might have a look and get that down and see if that goes. I'll have a look online. Can't remember what it's called offhand. Right, what have I been doing? Well, so that's my 12 cast-ons, such as they are. It will change. The Zweig should be added in, and yeah, I might have to rethink the baseline cardigan and do something short and sweet. Maybe a double knit cardigan in just stripes, you know, so like the one I did last year in wool. It puts me off a bit because I still want to make the baseline cardigan, but the wool looks like it will break apart quite easily or shed. So why did I buy it? Well, you may well ask. I forgot to say a big thank you you know who you are, to the lovely lady who sent me a copy of the Rift pattern by Jacqueline Cieslak. It was a lovely surprise. I have written back to thank you. I hope it reached you, because sometimes I find that I think I've replied on Ravelry and I haven't. But I did check and it looked like it had gone. So thank you very much. It will be used, definitely, because I've been looking at that pattern again and again over the years. And I do like a lot of the versions that people have made out of it. And of course it's highly customisable as well. Modifications. Well, no, I mean, I wouldn't enter into a modification mail because that's part of the pattern is written specifically helping you to modify. One thing I can add to my 12 cast-ons is a magpie tendency, because that's down here and I've got all the yarn for it. Let's watch this space and see what I end up doing. I've got to the end of January to do those, and I keep going on about it. It is an annual event that Ange of Yarn and Yarns runs on her podcast, and she runs it usually until this year. It's been Christmas Eve and she's cast on something every day just after Christmas. But this year, because she's working and they've been travelling a bit more, it's altered format very slightly in terms of her casting on every few days and then putting a video out every few days. But it's very enjoyable, and it makes you think about knitting other things as well, because you get, oh no, that's nice. She's doing a harbour, something, a name of a harbour jumper, Heavenly Harbour. I quite like that. Look at that, actually. That looks very nice. And she's done it in the yak, soft yak, and I've never bought any soft yak off Rowan. But, you know, we're not going to this year. Yeah, I need to add the Zweig, and what I was going to say. Yes, thank you for the Rift pattern. Very much appreciated. And now I'm going to talk about what I've been up to. I have been tidying up. I've given my handbags to my mother that I no longer want. I think she's chosen 2 or 3. So next I'm going to show my friend Liz to see if she wants any, because they're just not the sort of handbag I can make good use of anymore. Most of them are Marks and Spencer's leather ones. So yeah, see how that goes. So that's something else I've done. And then a couple of years ago, probably, I may have shown you this book. It's a Lodge-Turn hardback notebook, and I started putting things in there that I wanted to knit. That's the Wild Ride Shawl by Maddie Harvey. I didn't do it. It didn't look right. That's the Jack Rose cardigan. I didn't knit it, but I used the numbers to make my cardigan that's got the horizontal knot pattern on, which I really liked. I did do that one. That was the Indian summer cardigan that I did for Michelle in the leftovers of my hammer from Triskelion. And then I've got here what I did do with the wool I was going to make the Wild Ride out of. I made the Bojagi shawl, which Janine's done as well, haven't you, Janine? No, I'm only showing you these briefly. Just that's the sort of thing I set it up to do, with ideas about what I was going to cast on next and make. Tom's jumper in it, cardigan, the kudzu cardigan, the one that made me look like I had a frilled dragon thing. That's now, you know, she's offering her patterns for free now, possibly because they're not very well written. The Amma jumper again by Maddie Harvey that I completed and I love. The unfolding shawl I showed you the other day, and the Isla, which I haven't made yet. So, and some other patterns and things. Then, and I was going to do the party cardigan with Adventures in Yarn Craft Advent from 2 years ago. Those have magically gone into my pastel mitered square blanket. So, 2024, 12 cast-ons. And I've even got tabs, look. Tabs. It's supposed to be impressed. And I've just done half a page for each one. I've got shawls to make. I've written the shawls that appeal to me most out of my shawl. I think I've got about 100 shawls in my library. Instead of putting them in my queue or in my favourites. I mean, I've got even more in my favourites. I just want to say what shape they are, how much they take, and what colours are needed, like combination of colours. So I'm going to fill a bit more of that in, and I might even, now we've got a new printer, print a little photograph of an example and stick it in the book. I've done some blanket colours that I've collected over the years, written them out, mainly Starcraft Special. Don't know if I'll ever get round to doing it, but I've got some pictures of some bags I've made, some old notes out of a, I've got old notes I've taken out of an old notebook, and I've used washi tape to put them in rather than write them out again. And then I've taken some pictures of my first lot of charity bags that I made just after Dad had died in 2021 for the Stroke Association, and they went all over the world. And then at the back I've listed my sewing patterns. I had done little drawings in the other book. I transferred the information out, because I haven't got that many sewing patterns, of how much meterage you'd need for my size and what sort of, so it's a quick reference point really, instead of having to get the pattern out all the time or look online. And last time I did little drawings, but I've stopped doing that now because I can't draw. And then right at the back some useful notes of when I've made people things, what size hands I've made for, what size hands, things for gloves, measurements of gloves and things. I've also written some details about machine needles, and I've got stuff about stitch patterns I've seen that I like as well. So I've got all sorts of things in here. A bit about quilting, hat pattern, I-cord edging, you name it. I've put lots and lots of different things in there, and I'm happy because I've consolidated 2 notebooks to go in there. I've ripped pages out of one of my favourite books because it's getting rather full of, just where I've been using it for stitch counts and things, and knocking off rows as I've been knitting things. So I'm making use of that, and I'm very pleased I've invested probably about 3 hours into that. So it's good, and it's getting full up actually, because I've discovered I've got quite a few notebooks. I'm also getting on okay with my journal. I haven't fully got into it yet, but I am marking down my drugs, and I am marking down activity, and I still need to catch up with my diary, which I will do when I'm in the right mood to do so. And I think that's it really in terms of what I've been doing here. I've been keeping busy, very busy. What was I going to say? Just something popped into my head. It's gone again. Age. So, what have I been doing going out the house? I've hardly been out the house. I went to Longbridge with Mum on the 3rd of January, and we went down to Sainsbury's. She said to me, I've got £5 off 30 quid, so I need to spend 30 quid. And I said, oh yeah, I've got the same. I went onto the Nectar app. And then she spent just over 30 quid and got her 5 off, and I spent £40 and didn't get any money off because I hadn't used a voucher. Unbeknown to me, I thought it was an automatic thing. And mine was only £3.50 off 25. I didn't have to spend £40 off. Oh, I don't know what happens when you get in the supermarket. You end up buying things. That's why Tom doesn't take me. And then this week I wanted to go to John Lewis to talk to them about a couple of techie things, a tablet and a hard disk recorder for the telly. But he said they only sell them online, and they're going out of fashion. So we've got super fast fibre, and I think I'm going to try and wait, because when I get rid of Sky, go on to FreeSat or Freeview, and hopefully we can get a telly, or with either a recording box or a telly that records, once more and more people get super fast fibre. and you no longer need the format that you've got at the moment. Nothing's broke, touch wood, so hopefully, you know, as the year progresses, or even early next year, we can get rid of Sky, and that'll save us another £20 a month. And it isn't because, again, it's not the fact that we're paying, I don't know, 20 odd quid a month. It's the fact that we don't watch a lot of them, and we can get most of what we want to watch on catch-up services. Anyway, we don't have a smart television. We've got an old Samsung that we bought when we moved, in the same year we moved, and that was 14 years ago. In fact, coming up to May, it'll be 15. So it's doing well, isn't it? It owes us nothing. Interestingly, if you had the same spec of telly that we bought back then, it'd be about 300 quid, and it was nearly £1,000 then. Anyway, so we went to John Lewis. I digress, as usual. And I said to my friend, is it AMPR or barrier? And she didn't reply back. I said, because we usually parked a free one. She'd go and park a free one. Because it was quite pricey, I thought, to go and park at the Touchwood car park. Now, I'd looked on Street View, but unbeknown to me, I was looking at a different road, because there were two entrances to this car park. I think they're the same car park. I think. So, I don't know if there's a separate John Lewis car park and a Touchwood. I doubt it. Anyway. We go in, barriers. Mum's 82 in March, right? But she doesn't act her age, luckily. Even though I keep calling her an old woman, don't I, mother? She jumps out the car, goes round the front of me, and I pull up a bit more so that it recognises there's a car there. And it's saying on the screen that my mum can't see, wave at me. So I go like that, and I think Mum was stood in front of the camera because it's going to be like number plate. I was trying to read her number plate because when we got the slip it said number plate not recognised. Yeah. So she waited for a ticket to come out, which it did. I had to drive under the barrier, right? And then she tries to walk under the barrier and nearly gets hit in the head with the barrier. I go round the corner because it's soon after the barrier, go round the corner, waited for her, and then she tried to get back in the car, but the doors were all locked, and I think somehow she pressed a little button on the door opening where you can lock all the doors, or at least you can from the driver's side. But I've got hand controls, and I've got a man up my bum, up my boot I should say, because he's just come in the car park, and there's been another one behind him, you know. So I'd have to put the handbrake on, and, you know, for me to be able to press that button, I'm holding the brake down with my right hand. So I go around another corner and I find a bank of free spaces where electric cars can plug in. So I just park straight across them, pull in and wait for Mum. And in the meantime, I lock and unlock the door from my side, and it works. She gets in. I'm not putting my seatbelt on, so the car starts beeping at her, even though we were going really, really slow. So we find a parking space and we're okay. But she nearly got knocked out, and it was a bit of a mess. Now, I pride myself on being like a homing pigeon, but this really messed with my head on Solihull. My mum did a lot better than I did. I admit that, Mum. I admit that, totally, Mum. That, unbeknown to either of us, when we asked how to get to Waitrose, which is right near to the car park, this lady told us, but what we didn't appreciate is we were in a different part of the car park, and it didn't look anything like where we'd parked, because I'd left my coat in the car, and I wanted to put it on before we went to Waitrose, because it was really, really cold. And we couldn't find the car. It didn't look anything like what we're supposed to look, and we'd been on both basement level. We knew we were in the basement levels. So in the end, we went back into John Lewis, and we went out of the door. We found the door, not in the corner like the girl said. We found another door to a car park, and then we found the car. So we go back to the ground floor, out the front door, and round the corner, find Waitrose. And then my mum says, quite sensibly, why don't we go back to their car park? We can get our bearings for future reference. And we said we might never park there again after the barrier issue, but I am going to write to them about the barriers, because if you can't use a ticket, how are you supposed to use that? You know, it says Waverters. Is there a man sat there all the time? I don't know. If it could read my number plate, would he have let me in? I don't know. So, we go back in, and there's click and collect from John Lewis, and then I say, no, that's not it. We'll go down to that one where it says Touchwood, and I realise, just as we go past the door, that we need to be in John Lewis. I told you should be in John Lewis. So I looked at the map. I completely, you know, my head was all like, by then. So eventually we get back into there. That was on the ground floor. I recognised where we were. We went to the loo before we came back home, and off we went. And we got out okay. Mum had to go and put the ticket in the machine. After we'd paid, it gives you another ticket to put in the barrier for the barrier to lift. But this time she walked around the barrier so she didn't nearly get knocked out. And this is what we have to put up with when we go out. You know, if it isn't my mum, it's my gozzy friends who can't see. We're just a special day out. It is. Anyway, don't moan at me for saying that, because I can. Right? Because it is. It's a jolly day out. And the only other thing I was going to mention, so that's, I've not been anywhere. Tom's been to, I've got the delayed tenor next week because I was quite poorly, having not been able to go to tenor just before Christmas. I've read a book. I've read the last in the series of the Brighton May by Christopher Fowler. If you've never read them and you like quirky detective style, I find them very funny, very poignant, and excellently written. The amount of detail, I don't know how much of it is historically correct, because face it, I mean, they're set in London, most of them, and London is full of history going back to Romans, I think, started crossing making a bridge or crossing the Thames there. So yeah, excellent books. And then Mum's got the second to last to give me, or she give me in the bag. I need to check. And then the last thing I'm going to mention, because we are up to just over an hour. Sorry, some of it will be cut out where I'll go backwards and forwards, like Benny Hill. I was going to tell you some of the other podcasts I watch, or some of them I need to catch up on as well, I'll be honest. And there are more than this, but I couldn't fit them on the end of the page. So not in any particular order. Counting Sheep with Ruth. Mouses Makes Mandy. Bondi Crafter Barbara. Barbara's in Australia. Counting Sheep, she's in Vermont, or that area, New England type of. Sorry, Ruth. Ange of Yarn and Yarns, obviously, and Anita of Gaga Knits, obviously. Hello, Anita. Anita's already bought her tickets for Wonderwall, and I'm going to be hot on her heels just when I've checked with Penny that we are going. And then Helen from Mousy Makes Pod. She's a little bit mad, you know, because she loves making these animals, and she writes some fantastic tales, and she can draw, which I'm quite envious of, and she can play the piano. Helen's very multi-talented. Woody Cutchies by Pip. Hello, Pip. See, coming to Wonderwall, yes, Sunday. Nerdy Knitting with Tonya. I can't remember whether Tonya's in the US or Canada offhand. I've just started watching her. She's, Penny's Peach Chingwag. Not seen Penny for a while. Penny's on the south coast here in Britain. And, of course, Soxy Nana Alice. Hello, Alice. I need to catch up with some of Alice's. I've also got Little Big Knit with Selma. I need to catch up on her. Last couple. Sia from Sia Bod. And a few more which I just can't think of off the top of my head. So I'm going to go now before it gets dark. Coffee's cold. Could do with a wee. All the best things. And I'll get this up on the laptop and get you edited and rendered. It won't hurt a lot. Edited, rendered and uploaded. That's not something you get every day, is it? You're lucky. I'll see you very soon. Happy New Year to you all. And let's have another. Let's hope this year's a good one. You never know what's around the corner. Take care. Happy crafting. Bye.